Let's get into some shite. All right. Thank you for coming by and saying hi, people. This is a Thanksgiving edition of the Out of Tune podcast. How are you? My name is... What is my name? I'm relaxing a little bit. My name is Rick. Hope you're having a good time out there on the Thanksgiving Day. I decided to record on Thanksgiving Day. Here's what I'm noticing for Thanksgiving Day as I was watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And you can't really... find an old person on there anywhere except Santa. Santa's the only old person allowed on there. It's all, I guess, under 30, and I don't know anybody, and it's just a young person's parade. No one wants to be reminded of age. I think that's kind of sad. And also, here's something else I discovered. The Rockettes were on there. You're talking about a dance troupe, the Rockettes, big, popular. Everybody knows the Rockettes, right? So many people, they're dancing like crazy. And what do you think? 20, 30 people dancing? Only two black women on there. Only two people of color. Only two. I want to say African American. I don't know where they come from. I don't know if they're American. I'm assuming they are. ICE would have taken them out if they were immigrants. Hey, this is an edgy show. I can talk about ICE. Anyway, just two. Do you mean to tell me in the auditions, only two black women were capable of dancing well enough to get into the Rockettes? I find that hard to believe. It's one of the great things about I've discovered living in Atlanta is you really start becoming more aware of racial imbalance. If you don't have that experience, I suggest you live in a place like Atlanta where you, as an old white guy, you're the minority. You're kind of in the background. That really does a lot to your awareness. And I like it. It's one of the things I'm thankful for on this Thanksgiving Day. How about you? What do you got? So, I'm trying to relax here a little bit. Kicking back. So my wife is making a turkey today completely out of tofu. Now, if you've not had this, and I'm going to admit, I've never had it. I've had versions of tofu dinners that other companies make. And I don't think it's made out of tofu. It's just made out of the same stuff that tofu's made out of. So I've had that. I've been vegetarian half my life, so I've eaten a lot of different kinds of fake meat. I like fake meat. I like real meat, but I don't eat it anymore. But I eat the fake meat. And this year, my wife found a recipe for turkey tofu, or tofu turkey. So what it looks like, seriously, I saw the picture. You take tofu and you somehow turn it into like Play-Doh, and you form it into something that looks like a turkey, and then you cook it. Now, the picture looks exactly like turkey. Exactly. You can't tell the difference, but I'll bet you it's not going to turn out to look like that. So that's what I'm having tonight for Thanksgiving dinner. I hope that you're having something delicious as well. I will let you know how the turkey tofu thing came out. Okay. What else do I want to talk about? This is something I was going to talk about last week and the week before, and it comes off sort of as whiny, so I didn't really want to talk about it, but I feel like I need to talk about it today. And I'm going to not whine while talk about it, but it's something that I feel like it's important to talk about. And it kind of goes along with what I was talking about earlier about not seeing any old people on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. As you get older, and we all do that, right? Every day we're all doing that. There comes a point, some point in your probably 40s, I'm going to guess, where you start noticing the significant reduction in the attention that you get from the general population. Now, part of it starts really young when in just culture in general. Music starts fading away. It's like you'll start, I don't recognize anybody who's at the Grammys. And then it turns into where you don't recognize anyone in the Oscars except in the section where people die. You know all of those people. But there's something in pop culture where they want to ignore older people. And I feel like that's one of the benefits of being in the arts, not visual arts necessarily. When I mean, maybe not visual arts, but like film is probably not a good thing because people can watch you age. And there's a lot of people as they get older, they have to take crappy roles because no one wants to see a leading man in his 70s. Unless you're Harrison Ford, you're lucky. But even then, it kind of turns out being a little bit sad, right? So, I just notice it starting to happen where you as an artist, you get pushed towards the side, and it's not fair. Less and less people want to see art by older people, and I'm guilty too. I've been like that my whole life, but now it's karma because it's coming back to haunt me. And there are certain things, especially the invisible stuff. So, if, doing fine art where you paint a painting, no one knows what the artists look like. So you can still have a pretty good life that way. Writing where you don't necessarily have to be in the public eye. A lot of people write all the way up until their 80s, 90s, whatever, even more so. Directing, no one wants to see our face and be reminded that they're getting old. That we're getting old, that we're getting closer to death. It's a shame, but it's the way society is, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. But it's very interesting being in that, when you finally start getting into that age group, and you could feel it happening to you when you're doing the same thing that you did when you were in your 20s and 30s that people thought was cool, and you're doing it now, and it completely gets ignored. I don't feel like I deserve anything. I don't. I'm not trying to get anything special. But just being ignored is kind of special. I just want the same thing everybody else gets, really. I don't feel like I should have an audience in anything that I do. But I also don't feel like I should have a thing where I'm ignored for just because of age. Recently, I've been doing some new kinds of creative outlets for myself. Let me tell you what I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of writing. Started writing my first novel. I don't expect to be done with it until sometime next year. It's fun. I've been doing a lot of that. And I'll give you a little sneak peek on something that I haven't really announced publicly yet. It's been a passion project of mine for a long, long time to start an online humor magazine. And so I finally launched it. It's very, very, it's at the beginner stages. It hobbles. Right now, the writing, it's just me, just me writing stuff. So I'm trying to get submissions. I'm trying to bring in a lot. And the idea is for long term to be a lot of writers that do regular submissions. And so it's something that I've been wanting to do for a long, long time. I finally started, I'm feeling good about it, even though I know it's at the beginning stages. I'm fine with that. I just let it grow, putting it out, letting it grow. If you want to see some of it and watch it grow, the magazine's called The Leghorn. So just look for www.theleghorn.com and you can start reading some of the stuff. And two, if you're a writer and you're funny, and you write funny stuff, look at the submissions page. Maybe you could be one of the writers for the Leghorn. It would be kind of cool. I'm putting submissions out or putting notices out for submissions now, trying to let it grow. That's kind of the stuff that I'm doing a lot of writing. I still doing art. But I've been concentrating a lot on writing. And here's my problem. Again, it's a personal thing. This is the part where I'm talking about sounds like whining. Earlier this summer, it was probably right after I took a break on the podcast, I started feeling like crap. And just really exhausted, and physically things were happening to my body that that had not been a problem before. And so this is why I don't want to talk about it. It's like medicine. It kind of comes off as whiny stuff, and it's not that. It's informative. Okay, hang on. So I went to the doctor and found out that a lot of things were happening, and one of the things, my heart rate was at like 40, sometimes 38, 39, 40, up into 44 on a regular basis. Your heart rate's supposed to be in the 70s and 80s. Your resting heart rate, mine was in the 40s. And so I was getting exhausted. I couldn't walk across the room without just being completely out of breath. And so I was very concerned about it. My BP was going up at the same time. So I thought, oh, I'm dying. I'm dying of a heart attack. So, start making out the will and all of that stuff. But then I went to my doctor. They were kind of concerned. We kind of went through a lot of options of what was going on. And after a while, we boiled it down to the fact that a certain medication I was taking just all of a sudden stopped working. It just didn't do what it was supposed to do. And my body was, I don't know if it was rejecting it, if I had an allergy to it or what, but it just stopped working. And so I was feeling like crap. So it took a little while, but we had to get this out of my system. And as we were doing it, I felt like I was having a heart attack. And there was one day I honestly thought I would not wake up the next day. It was very scary. And so, but that happened, and we made adjustments, and it has taken until this month, for them to find and me to find the correct medication combination that works for me. And so I feel now better than I felt in years. So I'm doing quite well physically. But what's happened to me is that this medication that I'm on has affected me cognitively, which I've never had a problem with either. As I've gotten older, I have felt some signs of dementia or just forgetfulness. Maybe dementia is not quite the word yet, but this medication has magnified that. And so I have some issues with creativity, not being able to get in touch with the creative center in my body, not being able to do some of the creative things that I've done in the past. And it's very, very frustrating. But the other thing that has happened with this medication, and if I check the symptoms, it's one of the side effects of this medication, and that is motivation. I don't care. So where I should be doing art, I'm just like, I don't really want to get up and go do art. I don't care about that. So it's affected me at the holidays. It's like, I don't care about Thanksgiving. I couldn't care less about Christmas. I just don't care. I've had some problems with the podcast. How many times did I have just said I'm going to quit this podcast over and over and over? It's the medication coming in and saying, I don't care. What's the point? What's the purpose? No, 5 people might listen to this podcast? I'm doing a podcast for 5 people. Why? Why am I putting that much energy into something? And that's a crazy thing if you've never had that kind of situation before. And it's helped me to realize that there are a lot of people in this world who I've never thought a lot about, who are limited in what they can do every day in life because of the medication they're on, whether it's from depression, whether it's for cancer, whether it's for diabetes, whatever their life issue is that they're trying to take care of so that they can have a better quality of life. For some reason, this medication they're on is affecting other things and keeps them from having 100% quality of life. I've never had to think about that before because I've been privileged. I've lived a life where I didn't need medication. I didn't need to be on anything. I didn't need anything to help me out. I was just me. You don't get to be that when you get in. You get to be my age. Life says, no. You've had all of the fun you're going to have, at least with no medication. So I'm trying to balance that right now. I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on and how I can fix it. I don't want to not be a creative person. I've been a creative person my entire life, but not having motivation and not having contact with that creative place inside me is not a good combination. and it's a struggle, and it's something that I have to kind of work on and try to figure my way out of it. It's something that we all have to do. I want this podcast to keep going. That's what I'm planning on doing, and I really want it to be a podcast about living an artful life, living a life that's creative and artsy, even if you're not an artist in your hobbies. You don't make art. Everybody makes art to a certain extent, right? We all do, either music or something. So I would like this podcast to be a little more inspiring for people to create that kind of stuff, have better lives, and get into, well, how am I going to do that if I can't do that with myself? So that's my issue. That's what I'm working on. It's a whole new challenge for myself. I'm going to try. The other thing, and I don't know if this is age or medication, and I think it's a combination of both. And it goes along with the creativity. I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but there's a spot in me, a place in me, an invisible place in me, which I always called the well, the creative well. It's like when I just kind of, in meditation or just in quietness, if I'm trying to find an idea or something, if I need a cartoon idea, I just get quiet and sit there and just go inward. And then there's this, it's like a room or something inside where this idea just pops out. And I'm like, whoa, where'd that come from? But that's good. And there it is. So it's like, it's something in me that I don't control. It's where all the good ideas are. If I try to do an idea on myself, it's usually pretty lame. But when I go into that center, that's where all the good stuff comes from. And this medication that I'm on affects that, and it keeps me from getting into that room. It's like it puts a little lock on that room, which isn't cool. But the other thing is it puts a lock on expression. Just taking, and even expression, just vocal or word expression. I have more trouble talking and coming up with ideas and being able to say words and just trying to think of a word for something and getting stuck. And that's not good when you deal with podcasts, because podcasts are all about the word. So you'll hear me in all these episodes where I either say the wrong word or I say a word similar to what I'm trying to think, but my lips won't move. That's what it is. It's medication making me, I'm just blaming, it's really just me. I'm a complete screw up. No, it's the medication keeping me from being able to say the things that I want to say. And it's just a weird thing. It's a part of aging. I'm trying to get to a point where I can kind of stand back and enjoy it. I don't even know if enjoy is the word, but just observe it as a part of life. It's what's going to happen. What I can't control it. I can complain about it. Why? Just, it is what it is. But it does affect my life. It affects my creativity. It affects what comes out of my mouth. It affects what goes into my head and what comes out of my head. All of that stuff it affects. We all have these challenges, right? So I just share it with you because you're going to notice it on the podcast. I think I've been trying to make the podcast better. This podcast, I just decided to talk, and that's what I'm doing here today. But that's dangerous because when I'm talking, who knows? The door's not going to open. The well's not going to be there. Who knows what I'm going to talk about? I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. I do know that today is Thanksgiving, and I'm thankful that at least I'm here. Earlier this year, or later this year, middle of this year, I didn't know that I would be here. I kind of felt like maybe I was on my last leg. I got two of them. If I'm on my last leg, that means the other one's completely gone. But yeah, I just thought, where am I going? What's going to happen? I had to go to cardiologists. I had to get little things hooked up to me and beeps and little gauges and wires and things. I don't know what that is. I've never had that before. I had to go in one of those, the big tube you go into and then they scan your heart. No, I had to do that. That's weird, unusual. It's not a lifestyle that I'm used to. But are we ever used to anything in life? That's when we start complaining, is when things don't go like they've always gone. We just we start noticing there's a shift in what we're used to. There's a shift that music doesn't sound like it used to sound. Movies don't look like they used to. Going shopping is a totally different experience. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade now has an Asian Santa. They never had an Asian Santa. I don't know. They didn't have an Asian Santa as far as I know. But I'm just saying, that's what we do. We see things that we've never seen before. And you could either roll with it, you could kind of just open your entire awareness and just observe it and go, that's what's happening. Or you can get old and close it off and complain about it and say, we never did it this way before, and then try to change the laws so that the source of the change will be thrown out of the country and you don't have to put up with that anymore. And you can die happy, but you'll never die happy because it's just all going to be different. It is. It's life. Life is always going to be different. Well, people, I'm going to leave you here at this wonderful, glorious end of the podcast and say, this year I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful for the things that I've got. I'm thankful that I made it to a point where I can slowly deteriorate in front of the general public. Most of all, I'm thankful for you, and thanks for coming and joining me. I'll see you next week.